Alright, so we're doing a demo review of slaxejezzz, who got picked up by Parivision. He was a player who I've noticed quite a while in Tier 3, mostly because of his stats. Recently, I watched a few of his demos before he got picked up by Parivision, just to see, like, actually how good is he. And I was sold instantly, just based off his mechanics. His mechanics are actually incredible. They're incredibly consistent. The crosshair placement is great. Effective movement. Knows how to play with his teammates. So these things I was watching when he was playing on Psychoface, which is a much worse team than Paravision. And when he got picked up by Paravision, I was like, okay, he's a great pickup, right? He's a good pickup. The other pickup I was going to recommend was Tenzi, right? Who I love Tenzi, right? I glaze him all the time, but they're actually rather similar players, except slaxejezzz just plays more star positions. But this is slaxejezz's stats for the year. He's played 231 maps and he's averaged a 1.25. Obviously, this has gone down since the recent matches where he had a few bad ones. But I want to mention this Paravision versus MIBR game. And I want to highlight in the series, he got 1.16. Or sorry, he had a 1.24, which is pretty good. Positive round swing, good ADR, everything. But we're going to be highlighting the Anubis game that they lose, right? Mostly because Hobbit kind of struggled a bit. And then the Mirage map that he was the best player in, right? 1.69, and the other one is 1.16. So I wanted to highlight these series or these two maps as a demo and show the reason why I was so confident on this player when he got signed, right? Same thing with Hobbit. I like Hobbit. He just had one bad map. I think Hobbit's also another great pickup that Paravision made. But we're just going to get into it. First, and Anubis, I'm pretty sure he's the E-Box player, but they might have changed his roles when he was playing on Psycho Face. I think it was Psycho Face is the name of the team. He was the E-Box player, and he was a rather effective E-Box player. Seemed like he knew how to play off his B teammate a lot. Very aware of like when they would throw the E-Box smoke that's a little more lurky, that goes deep inside E-Box. He was very aware of them playing around with it. So these things I saw, and I kind of was convinced on slaxejezzz for why he could be good in this team. Sorry, I just need to check if I'm recording. Okay, I am. We'll turn up the volume a bit. I'm doing this one rather fast. I'm probably going to do it in two parts because I have to do something else after this. Maybe that's... So yeah, the way I imagine that we're going to use him is Gilo is going to be hard opener. He's going to be trading Gilo a lot. They're going to be kind of their pack players, I imagine, right? slaxejezzz might take some of the worst extremity roles and then group up when they go for a bomb site hit to basically like help with the trading, right? That's how I imagine they were going to use slaxejezzz. And they're putting Hobbit in more of the star roles. They're putting him in more of the late lurk spots, right? They have him in a lot of the map control spots on most maps, right? I think the one map where Hobbit, there's a few maps where Hobbit is not playing the map control spots, but it seems like they give slaxejezzz some anchor spots, some star spots, and some extremity lurk spots, right? Which is kind of how I imagine. Sorry, they're just waiting outside. Nothing to mention, right? The crosshair placement's pretty good. God, I don't like watching demos in 16:9. It's just, it messes with my like how I like watch the game and how I look at the game most of the time because I'm 4x3. But it looks like this is just gonna be a B split. Gilo is playing E-Box by himself, right? slaxejezzz is just jiggling. Jesus, this is taking a while. Peeks, sees this guy straight, peeks in the two and dies, right? He's, tip of the spear, which is how they're using him. Gilo and slaxejezzz. I think that's how you pronounce his name, is slaxejezzz, not slaxejezzz. Maybe it's slaxejezzz. But this is how I imagine that we're going to use him, which is as a tip of the spear. He's going to go in with Gilo a lot of the time, being the guy who creates space, takes openers. This is Nico. I'm just going to skip that, fast forward. Sway has enough for up. Very cool. So this is the first gun round. I'm curious what spot he's actually going to be playing. I didn't watch this Anubis game live. I watched the end of the Anubis, I watched the Ancient, and then I watched the Mirage game live, right? Good dodge on the flash, right? Here's the HE. Dodge the flash. Shoots through the molly. Good kill. He got two there. And he gets a third. Actually, I mean, great awareness for this crunch. So if you watch how he actually plays this. So they're going faster E-Box. It looks like they're just going to do a B-split fast. He gets blinded. He's turning. Spam. He gets kind of lucky with the fact that they line up. He's ready for the guy to drop out water, and then he's ready for the A guy to push, right? Honestly, great mechanics, or great awareness. Kind of got lucky with the twofer, but I think he played that round very well, considering like he probably should have like lost very convincingly. Not his fault the round goes bad. If anything, he did his job perfectly, right? So now they're gonna go for a force. He smokes E-box. And yeah, this is how I imagined they were going to use him when he got added to the squad. You put Hobbit in some of the map control spots. Of course, Hobbit is going to take some anchoring duties, so they can enable slaxejezzz or slaxejezzz. But for the most part, they've given him kind of like the whatever roles, right? Gilo's in most of the star roles. Hobbit's in a decent amount of map control spots. And they're setting up Hobbit more for the late rounds, more for the late lurks, and slaxejezzz is just a tool, right? He's being used as a tool. It's very similar to Tenzi and Magic, which is, you know, when I watched his demos instantly, that's who I thought of, right? I watched the demos and I thought, oh, this guy's just like Tenzi, right? Overqualified role player is how I explained it, because mechanically, he's great. You know, he's a hell of an opener. He's a statistical monster. I think that's the one thing I've noticed about slaxejezzz is statistically, this guy just finds impact, right? Whether it's ADR, kills, whatever it is. He just finds a lot of impact throughout his games, right? Even if he's not necessarily in the best positions, right? Because he doesn't have all the best positions. Spamming. See, so this is something I think we're going to notice a lot is slaxejezzz or slaxejezzz will be playing off the... I'm just going to stick with slaxejezzz. slaxejezzz will be playing off the hip of Gilo in a majority of his game, or a majority of his plays on T-side, right? Because that's how they're using him. They're using him as the 1-2 punch, because Gilo has actually been rather revitalized since getting to more of the star spots, having more freedom, right, within the squad since Noda has left. Hobbit's willing to take some of the worst roles, as well as slaxejezzz is willing to take some of the worst roles. And they're setting up Gilo, and Gilo has actually thrived since this, right? Which I'm glad, I'm happy to see. So it looks like he's the A lurk, or the A lurk, right, for this team, which is, you know, I think that's fine. When you have people like Gilo and Hobbit, right, having Zwei as the B lurk, and then Hobbit as your middle player, and you put Gilo in a more simple spot, which is E-box, right? You don't have to be overly complex with that. Seems like he's aware. He's just holding map control, right? Very, very boringly holding map control. He's grouping up with his team. He's letting Gilo like work. Looks like they might go back A, right? Because they have this lurk on Jame. Jame is just holding. Maybe they'll go at 20 seconds, right? 20 seconds into B. All right, 20 seconds into B. They're gonna go. Honzi gets a kill. He gets the opener. He mollies pillar, right? He gets the bomb down. James is still holding A main. So he's cut off Canals as a potential option, and now they probably know. Gilo is kind of fighting by himself. James, I think, was throwing supporting flashes. Yeah, looks like he was throwing supporting flashes, and it looks like slaxejezzz was, you know, playing in Temple, just basically just deny an opportunity, trying to work out of the smoke, because he's not playing a really... Realistically, he doesn't want to play, like, B main, because they have no information to B main. So he plays in a spot like Temple in the smoke, trying to phase it, and maybe catch people off guard as they walk out of the smoke, or if they walk through street, right? Which I don't think is a bad idea. It's a little risky, and you're kind of selling your teammate, but you're playing for the late round. So he trades in HE, doesn't tag anybody, not great. They flash him in A main, didn't see anything, he's gonna back off. Is he gonna just throw camera smoke, or is he just holding from here? Okay, it's just holding, just holding. Again, very boring job, and like this does remind me of Tenzi, where he doesn't have a lot of proactivity, it seems like. Doesn't seem like they really enable him on his side of the extremity to make plays, right? It seems like he's just holding the space very casually, very boringly. He knows his job, and that's all he wants to do, right? So he throws the lure smoke, he throws the molly baskets. He's aware of the boost. He's gonna walk through. He got tagged a little bit, they know he's through. Looks like they're going A. Looks like he right-clicks a flash. They burn Fountain, so he doesn't have to worry about it. Checking Heaven. Here's the guy Cake. Looks like they're faking and going into B. Looks like the round's kind of over. They kind of read the stack. Hobbit's in middle, right, being the late lurk. He gets a trade, but the round's over, right? Round was a little bit overcooked. It could have went into A, but LNZ didn't bite on the fake, right? And just goes in. So he has the AK again. I imagine we're just not going to see much on this T side. I imagine on T side, he's mostly going to be like waiting for the group up, waiting for the pack call, right? So he can go trade Zelo or go in first, right? So I imagine on the extremities, we're going to see a lot of boring map control, right? He doesn't know NQZ's here. Here's him, still waiting. I think he's waiting for the second guy. I think he hears him fully rotate back. Here's the molly. And he knows he has the A space, right? He doesn't hear NQZ. I think he heard him walk all the way back to heaven. He's clearing his angles very cautiously, right? He's very aware of him being in camera, sees the smoke. He's going to jump up heaven, and he's going to actually... This is very smart, actually. This is very smart. Very smart by him, right? To actually do that, be aware that he's probably heaven, right? Because he doesn't see him in camera. Right? Saw nothing walk out camera after the smoke. Okay, he's probably in heaven. And just quietly takes the map control, and they win the round, right? Very well played. So far, no complaints, right? But yeah, I think the thing we're going to see is he's going to be used for his mechanical skill set, which is opening, right? Which is for basically being able to trade his teammates. He's not really being used as like a star player who gets some of the late rounds and some of the playmaking. They're giving that to Hobbit more of the time. They're letting Zelo be this like flamesy type entry. And then slaxejezzz fills in the pieces where needed, right? Because Zway is playing more like the IGL role where he's doing a lot of the supportive utility. Sometimes gets to lurk in the late rounds, right? Right? And he's typically the hard lurk Zway. Where Hobbit's more the soft lurk, right? He gets to be a bit more of a playmaker, right, on his spot, on his side of the map. And then slaxejezzz is filling in the pieces, right? And this time he's just playing A, right? I imagine he's going to be the one who grabs the bomb in a second. Nope, they're sending Hobbit to do it. Okay. Sorry, I should fast forward this. This is really boring. This is a really boring demo. I'm not going to lie. So far, very boring. Because this is just not a very interesting job, right? Unless your like name is Robs or Bit, most of the time you're just not going to be doing much on this side of the map. So War of Heaven, good trade. Instantly smoking camera, jiggle once, sees nothing. He's clearing Heaven, and the round's over. Right. So far, nothing to comment. Maybe I picked a boring demo. Honestly, maybe I did just waste my time and just pick something that wasn't that actually interesting. I didn't watch this Anubis live, as I've mentioned before. I watched this Anubis, or I caught like the end of it, but I didn't actually watch most of it. So he hears them fighting mid. He smoked looks like he smokes E-Box for Zelo early round so he can get up close, which makes sense. If you're the A main player, smoking E-Box is completely fine because the A main player oftentimes is not like, he's not really in the round. Like, he's just holding the space, right? And that's how they're using slaxejezzz. They're not letting him go for like a lot of plays. I like this decision though, to walk through middle, right? You're basically vacuuming up all this space as you go. Are they going to go A? I think they should go A. Yeah, they are going A. Right, very slowly. Like, his pre-aims are very good. I think his pre-aims are incredibly solid. When I watch this, goodbye Jouet. Very low. Smokes A main. I think that's good because, you know, and then he watches camera. He's gonna go check beach, I imagine, is the logic, right? Yeah, he has a molly for post plant. They smoke camera again. It's good replenish, right? Now, didn't re-smoke. He just smokes camera. And now they're probably going to be aware it's going to be A main, right? And it looks like he's aware. It's camera or A main. Here's the flash. Here's two. Should be aware of this lurk of camera just in case. Gets HE. Good molly. Good HE. Good util, right? Util dump. Well played, right? Very well played. Uses all of his utility. Doesn't peek, right? Knows they're on a low buy and probably knows they're low HP from the earlier mid fight. So he doesn't waste his time. He smokes E-Box again, which is good. He's probably just going to go hold map control. He managed to dodge the HE because he's a bit late, right? Zelo dies to E-Box, right? Because he went for an aggressive water play, it looks like. Getting around with hotkeys is so difficult. I wanted to see if they went for an aggressive E-Box play, but it looks like they flashed out and they just killed Zelo. Bomb is loose. Zwei gets one. Good job holding the space. Sees the other guy. He's aware of this guy. Oh, might have saw him. Probably did see him. Ah, rough. Rough on the spray. Brandon looked like he was aware, right? Like, based on, like, he wasn't giving him a free peek or anything. His round's kind of over. He gets a bomb plant, though. It's not too bad. Not all is lost. But yeah, as you can see, right, like, he's not given a lot of autonomy, right, which is something I think it doesn't look like he has a lot of autonomy, right, in terms of how he plays his extremity lurk positions, which is similar to Tenzi, right? Tenzi is the same thing. When he has extremity lurk positions, it looks like he's being used up for the group up, right? He's being used to go in late round and used to be brought into an execute, right? Was on his extremity lurk positions, he doesn't know how to like push that line or toe that line of like, okay, I'm proactive enough that they have to worry about me, but I'm not being so proactive that I'm being punished and I'm dying, right? Tenzi just kind of wants to go in first on bomb site execs or be in second in, right, and trade. Because that's where, you know, Tenzi is the best. Tenzi is a mechanical monster. slaxejezzz is kind of similar to that, and I'm going to keep making the comparison because as soon as I watched their demos, that's the thought I had instantly, right? Is that they are very similar players in terms of how they play. I should be fast forwarding this. It's rather boring. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get my points across. There's this one guy in Fallon. Is he going to molly it or are they just going to contact? I think you should molly this. I mean, it's a little risky to not molly. Okay, you see him now. Now he mollies. Good job. Right, watching heaven. Very aware. Picks up the M4. Oh, 2 bullets. Good kill. Good seconds. Smart jumping up. He's going to probably peek and die. Peeks and dies. But he gets traded, right? He's playing off his teammate, which is smart. That's something I mentioned, right? I think he plays off his teammates very well. I think he has a very good idea of how to space around his teammates. He doesn't give them... sorry, I skipped ahead to the pistol, right, instantly. They're going on A, he's B. I think he's the B anchor. I think they put Gilo E-box and they have Hobbit is middle and Zwei is A, I think. Or maybe Zwei is B and he's A. I'm not actually sure. Maybe they have Hobbit A? I don't actually know. Roles are kind of weird. Smart that he doesn't fully rotate, right, once they're not committing. He's playing dark. Ooh, had a chance. Gets owned by Brenizem with the ways. But before he played E-box, I don't know if he's still playing E-box. I imagine the answer is yes, actually. So they moved Hobbit to middle and they have Gilo on A. Okay, that's interesting. It's not what I really imagined, but I think Gilo is willing to play a wide variety of positions, right? Before this, he played like A anchor, I think on Parivision right before when they had like Belchanok really struggling in that position. They put Gilo there, and Gilo was actually quite effective on it, right? He kind of reminded me of Matisse in that position, or Matisse, Matouche, however you want to pronounce it. If you're taking middle slowly, I need to speed this up. Dog, we don't got all day. Gets mollied out, he's playing pillar, he's spotting, smoke C-box. Waiting for the smoke, not peeking. I like this, not peeking. Did he block the smoke? Oh, he did. Okay, and they have to double smoke because he doesn't have anything. Smart. Okay, jiggling. Okay. Smart. Okay, he doesn't actually give up a peek for free. He waits until the smoke blooms. Round's over. This should just save. Just save. Look for guns if you can. Look for exits, but round's over. No! Okay. It's all good. He's gonna just get owned by Insani in the middle. Not really surprising, right? Insani's also another player who I love Insani so much. Insani's so fun to watch, partially just because he's a mechanical monster, right? Like, you want to talk about actual mechanical monsters, Insani is up there with how smooth his crosshair is, like how fast he's able to be, like, to targets, and Insani is a player that could be a top 20 player very easily if he was just on a better team. They missed the HE for E-box. Jump spot to C. Smart that he knows he can do that, right? He's holding the HE. He's going to toss it. Gets 10 damage. Smokes E-box, right? Not giving him space. Hurt him back up. LNZ's going to throw a molly. Yeah, LNZ's going to throw a molly. We gotta trade util. He gets double mollied out of his position. Wow, he is getting wrecked right now. But good thing he backs up. He doesn't try to play ahead of it. He doesn't try to like fight for it, because the chance that they have two people there and he gets flashplayed, it's very likely they're gonna actually have him go A or go into middle. They called Jame over to watch B main, right? I think this is a smart play by Parivision or Jame. And something I've seen in slaxejezzz is I think he knows how to play his positions fairly competently, especially his anchor spots. Seems like he's not giving up free picks or dying for no reason, which I think Beljanok and Noda were not doing, especially Beljanok. Beljanok, whenever he played anchor spots, sometimes liked to take a bit too much risk, right? Trying to go for plays he doesn't need to, or just do things he doesn't. Just do things that are very questionable, right? But I haven't seen that with slaxejezzz so far in his anchor spots on Ancients, where he plays A, on, not Mirage, what is his other spot? He plays one more anchor spot I saw him play, but he plays most of rotator spots, right? But I think for the most part, he is definitely an upgrade over Beljanok and Noda. Right, having Hobbit as a more experienced player and having him play more of the late rounds and more of the lurks because of his experience, I think is rather smart. Good molly timing, right? Because 140 is roughly when they can be up E-box. Good smoke, right? 102. I think I heard them drop util. Looks like they're just gonna go into A though. And he is now aware. He's not rotating through canals, not taking the chance. He's gonna go heaven. He's playing with his team. I'm curious as how he can actually win this round, because it does look like they win this round. They have two kits. He has utility. Saw the guy. He's got wide swing. Nope. Saw his head. Excellent crosshair. But like the fact that he was able to like catch him just as he was about to round the corner, to guarantee they have the round is, you know, very well done, right? To find that headshot through the wall. Very well played. He played off Sway very well, right? He let Sway. He understood when he had to take contact and when Sway had to take contact. HEB main. Good timing, right? Because that's when, you know, an eco could be up. Looks like they're just going canals, though. And how does he deal with this? Does he pull util? Does he just go for the spray? Saw him. Backs up pillar. I like that he's just walking, though. He's not running away and necessarily giving away his position. This is just an eco bash. But you see headshots across the board. This guy has very consistent first bullet. That's something I really like, is that his first bullet is super consistent. I think his crosshair placement allows him to hit first bullets a lot, right? Or consistently first bullet people, because he has very good pre-aims, very good crosshair placement. His spray control is solid, but it's not his best attribute, right? That's the one thing I'll say about slaxejezzz. I like that he mollies, right? Roughly that time. In case you missed a jump spot, missed the timing, you never know. They know they're in middle. Looks like he's going to play dark. Is he going to hold flash? I would prefer if he was just playing dark and holding a flash. They're actually just going to go play double straight. Okay, I don't mind this. Right? You have no information of... Is he going to get curious about Temple? It looks like they're aware of Temple, but they're not really biting. They're on A. And they're going to go for it, but it looks like it doesn't really work out in their favor. They're going to get flanked, I think, late round by Brennison, right? Yeah, they got flanked late round by Brennison. Good flash to delay by them. Dark. There you go. Good HE. Using his utility rather well. Gets double killed. Sway, does he get it? Nice try by Sway. They kind of had to stick it. If he dropped the bomb or smoke a bit earlier, maybe there's a chance that you get it there, but it just doesn't work out in that case, right? But so far, effective. Like, the best way I'll say it is he is super effective. That's actually the best way. When I watch slaxejezzz, I don't think I see anything, like, outwardly amazing, but everything just looks correct, right? On the mechanical elements, it looks good. Solid awareness, right? Doesn't get caught out by stuff, and that's why I say he's an extremely overqualified role player, because mechanically, he's better than a role player. But the problem I have with slaxejezzz is I don't think he has that autonomy or star-like nature that other players have, and it's a similar thing I see with Tenzi, right? Is that he doesn't have the autonomy or star-like nature of, you know, your Donks, your Monacies, your Kiyosukes. Even Kiyosuke, to a certain extent, is, even though he's in star positions, he's not really a star, right, yet. He hasn't, like, developed into that, like, player who is so much better than, right, like they're using him as a blunt object on Falcons, right? And that's kind of how they're using slaxejezzz, is they're using him as a blunt object. The guy is just used for his mechanical brilliance, right? You put him in spots, he's competent in them, but he's not outstanding. He's not going to game change. He's not going to break the mold. And I see that a lot with slaxejezzz, right? Good timing on the molly, and then he rotates out, or was going to rotate out. Gilo's playing very passive on Heaven. They know he's going to go group up with Gilo. This is something I really like. He plays off his teammates. He doesn't take a lot of risk in terms of decisions, right? He wants to play around his teammates quite a bit, right? See, they're playing off Jame rather well, and this could be Parivision's system, but I even saw this in Psycho Face when I watched him, is that he does like playing off his teammates, right? He's not, right? Now he's second guessing. Bredesen is not even aware, right? He played off his teammates, right? He just waited and he baited Gilo, but he wins the round because he baited Gilo. And it's stuff like this that makes me tells me that while he doesn't have the autonomy and star-like qualities as others, right? I think having a player, I think these are a bunch of resets. Yeah, these are a bunch of resets. I just skipped them. Looked like Jame went for the main peak. He's gonna go for a molly. Looks like they're swapping util or something. Flash, peak. Okay, I see nothing. They're gonna go back to main. Oh, that's unlucky timing. It's because Sway didn't full clear, right? Sway didn't full clear. Nobody mollied. They didn't see anything. And that's a round, right? Bit of a misplay by Sway, right? For not actually. Goodbye Gilo for recovery, but a bit of a misplay by Zway. He didn't like full clear it, right? And I understand why you're just playing for the spot, but it doesn't even look like they were necessarily aware. Maybe James just didn't see anybody cross the water or get close to canals. This time he's playing A main, which is a little weird. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at Gilo. I'm like, what the? Holy, I'm so lost. I was looking at Gilo and I was like, why is he playing A main? Okay, that makes way more sense. Again, very boringly holding a spot on the side of a map. Not a lot of autonomy taken, not a lot of decision making made, right? Partially because E-Box is not a very interesting spot to begin with. I think it is one of the more boring, like, quote unquote, star positions. Good HE timing. I think he missed it, though. He definitely did. I'm not gonna lie, like, some of these rounds are very... I'm not gonna say it's a boring demo, because I do think mechanically he has a lot of great things about him that I really like watching, right? I think mechanically he's so very good. But I think something... I have a harder time trying to analyze these, like, more role players that kind of just play their positions extremely standard, you know, well, like, sound, right? I like more talking about, like, I think the players I'm the best at actually being able to analyze are players that are closers, players that are more late round oriented, because I can kind of, like, I can kind of theorize or imagine how they think of the game and these things like this. But I think with players who are playing these star positions, some star positions were just playing as a, you know, I'm going to keep saying it, overqualified role player, it's harder for me to really, like, comment or make a, you know, very big decision, right? Somebody like Flauser, for example, I love watching because he is just he's a psychopath, right? It's the best way I can say it. He's the CIS prospect I'm the most hyped for and the one I have the most amount of faith for because he's so very entertaining to watch, right? Guy is just loves taking duels, loves taking fights, plays a lot of the star positions, right? And he just gets ran in from B main because Sway is jiggling. Unlucky. I don't think that round is really on his, not really his fault. But good job by Zway to get 2, right, to shut down the push. Jame is able to rotate in time. They know about the guy in the back lines. Hopper gets a kill. Good kill by Jame. Okay, and then win the round. Right. So I see it's kind of unlucky what happens to him because he does just kind of get timinged. So far on CT side, I think he's done his job rather effectively. It seems like he doesn't bite down on some of the fakes they're buying, right? Like, he's a bit more... One thing I've noticed about slaxejezzz is he's a bit more cautious. Good job by Gilo. He's a bit more cautious in the way he plays, and he doesn't just instantly bite on things. He's not, like, ADHD like some other entries or openers that I've seen, which is cool, right? Comparing him to somebody like Flauser, for example, I think Flauser is, like... That kid is so ADHD, right? Like, he just wants to fight all the time, right? He loves moving around the map. He needs to be proactive. Okay, well, we messed around. I'm trying to, because there's a lot of tech pauses. A lot of tech pauses at this XC Pro League tournament. I'm not going to lie, this has been maybe one of the most unenjoyable experiences to watch. XC Pro League has been awful to watch because not only did they have BO1s, they missed the E-Box smoke. Is he going to take advantage of this? No, he's not. I think he should. I think he should be trying to spot. I understand he's worried about the op, but maybe they think it's a miss. Like, maybe they're doing it on purpose, but it looks like they're pack playing, right? They bought 5 rifles this round. He's just jiggling. Again, playing his position very standardly. He looks like he's not playing in E-Box as much as he used to. The one thing I noticed when he was playing in Tier 2 was he loved playing inside of E-Box, but it doesn't look like he does that anymore, or as much, right? I should say. Sway is double upping. Interesting. Good job by Sway. Good awareness by Sway. But the round's kind of over, right? I think it's a save. You just save. Get double mollied, smoked. He's looking for any gap, but they know it's a save. Okay, smart. Not a lot of, like, autonomy in his positions, not a lot of pushing, not a lot of active plays. It looks like if people are going to go for plays, it's more like James is calling for them, right? Like, James called for an E-Box speak, he called for whatever, etc., etc. Bro, like, how many this tournament is plagued with problems. Like, this is, like, one of the most awful, like, this has to be one of the most awful tech problem tournaments I've ever seen. Like, this tournament was really bad. Like, whatever. Moving on. But yeah, like, when it comes to players like these, I find them the hardest to analyze because even though I do like, the mechanical aspects are super easy to analyze, right? Analyzing slaxejezzz from a mechanical aspect, I can break down everything that makes him great, right? But when it comes to his decision making and how he plays his positions, it's like you want something more. And it's a similar way with Tenzi, because I love what Tenzi does mechanically, but describing why he is, like, why he should go to a better team is a bit harder because he just doesn't have the autonomy of, like, a star player, right? And I don't want Tenzi to be an anchor, right? I don't want him to just play all the bitch roles, play all the roles that are just, like, whatever. I want him to have autonomy, right? I think the one map I really like Tenzi on is Mirage, right? Because I think he has a decent amount of set plays that he knows, right? Like, he's kind of Flamesy-esque when it comes to a map like Mirage because he plays the A anchor spot, but they give him proactivity. They let him play connector some rounds. They let him double up, push for ramp control or go for a palace fight. They do these things that are, I think, get him more enabled. And so when talking about slaxejezzz, it's going to be a bit hard because he is just being used for his mechanical skill set. And that's kind of the point I need to be talking about is, okay, he's great mechanically, right? Good first bullet, tags the second guy, and Sway just sadly doesn't get the kill because he's blinded, right? If we check, we can actually check. Was Sway blind? Tries to dodge a flash, eats a second flash, and he just gets, sees 3 people on his screen and just, like, can't pull a trigger, right? So, was it, slaxejezzz needed kind of something there, or need probably a double kill to keep that round on, right? If he gets a double kill, there's a chance you win it. James has to save, because the round's over. They're going to take attack pause. Okay, good. Utility. Peek once the smoke blooms. Good. That's a little unlucky. The smoke breaks, he peeks wide, and LNZ just rips his head off. Right? He's not ready for LNZ, he's not ready for the smoke break. And they lose a round. They're taking a little too long. Yeah, they took too long. Unlucky. I mean, some of the rounds are kind of slaxejezz's fault. Some of them are kind of unlucky. Like, some of the timings he's been hit by are just, that kind of sucks. I think on this map so far, we have highlighted a lot of his mechanical elements. I'm going to keep, I'm going to sound like a broken record when talking about slaxejezzz, because that is the main thing he is being brought into Parivision for. Mechanical skill set, solid as a role player. He's not brought in to be a star, he's brought in for his mechanics, right? To be a tool within James' system. And that's why I think picking up somebody like slaxejezzz or Tenzi, who I recommended, right? Like, if you were going to bring in somebody with just great mechanics, bring in Tenzi, because he's already proven against the best players, right? And I think Tenzi is closer to being a star than slaxejezzz. in my opinion, right? I think Tenzi has... I've seen more from Tenzi in some of his positions to be a star player than slaxejezzz. I do think the one thing I hate about Tenzi, and even though I love him, I hate that Tenzi is so passive in his T-side extremity positions, and he doesn't have enough inquisitiveness there or autonomy to actually make the plays. It really pisses me off when I see it. Him not go for plays, because his aim is incredible. He has some of the smoothest aim I've seen for like a hard entry, right? Like hard opener, hard entry. I wouldn't say hard opener, but hard entry player, right? Because he's not always hard opening. He's oftentimes, he plays a decent amount of extremity work positions. So again, Gilo's going first. He's second, right? This is what we're going to see a lot from Parivision. Good flash. Watching heaven. Good movement. You see how he takes a step back so his teammate is behind him more, right? Like he takes here, you can watch this. He has a very good idea of spacing, right? He was going to commit to a fight, backs up, and waits until James is here, right? And then Hobbit gets the kill, and the round, right, they win the round. Like, he doesn't full commit to the fight because he knows Hobbit is flanking and he has Jane behind him, right? So he doesn't take a committed spray where he's just going to die, and, then there's a chance, like, Hobbit then needs to get another kill, right? Or needs to take a 50-50 duel with him maybe there. But, yeah, it's just something to mention. I think his team play and spacing is very good. I think how he plays off his teammates is impressive, right? Again, he's still a young kid. He's only 18 years old. He's played a fuck ton of maps in Tier 2, Tier 3. This is a good way to hold your map control, right, to not give him space. Flash through, he's actually not going to push. Speaking about how he is just going to be used for the group up, right? Whenever he's not going to take a lot of risks to, like, walk through the smoke and give up an unnecessary pick that, like, somebody like Belshanock would, right? Belshanock in the past probably would walk through that smoke. They'd be like, all right, let's see, what I can get. slaxejezzz, I think he's been brought into the James system well enough, and he understands I'm being used for my opening abilities. I don't have to walk in, right? I don't have to do that. And I think on top of that, that's his natural progression. That's how he was used or not natural progression, but natural inclination, right? Because that's how he was used in Psychopace. Gila didn't clear pillar. He peeks in. He was aware of him, right? Crosshair was there, but Insani just owns him. It's hard to beat Insani in a 50-50 duel, and they lose the game, right? That's the map. They end up winning the series, right? Ancient was a lesser map for them to talk about, so I'm not going to watch Ancient, right? I think watching Ancient is rather futile or pointless, right? I think the series I want to watch is Mirage, because I think you get to see more of him, right? He's playing a position like Connector, which is much more active than Ebox. I think Ebox is very boring position in terms of, like, the amount of duties and responsibilities you have, especially if you're not going for water plays. I don't think I saw one water play from James. Didn't do one, right? No idea why. Could be a decision that they made willingly, right? But I think I know James is a unique style of caller, and he sometimes does weird stuff like that. Gilo is buying the kit and the smoke for his teammates. Huh. So since bringing slaxejezzz in, he's been the con player. They put Hobbit on A, and they put Gilo back to Cat. I like those roles. That's roles how I was imagining the roles were going to go. Hobbit has been historically a pretty good A anchor player. And slaxejezzz looks competent as a con player, right? Looks like he's fairly comfortable in the role. So they went A split this round. slaxejezzz is just following his teammates, right? Hobbit got a kill and backed off, right? He's playing on Ticket. Good shot by Zwei. He's being the point man, being the spearman. Knows about the guy triple. Got dinked. Venom Zera, was doing incredible things. And Zwei should be able to win it based on the kit and smoke. Yep. And that's the round. So again, being used as the tip of the spear, being used as a aggressive option, right? I'm curious how he plays con. I didn't focus too much on how he was playing con. So he mollies ramp for Hobbit, so Hobbit can hold on to his molly, right? Because the chance that they rush A is high. Did Hobbit drop his molly? They double molly. What does he do? Flash over. Yep, they double molly. Smoke. They expect to rush, it looks like. So I see it. Here's the flash. Looks like they're rotating B. They're very ready. He's going to walk through. I think this is proper. I think you should walk through here. Because if you give up this much space early in the round, you might get fucked, right? He saw nothing. He's still aware of the jungle lurk as well. Or the window lurk, right? The window boost. Still watching. Still waiting. They have the bomb. They're aware of the lurk. Hobbit's chilling. Hobbit gets a kill, and the round's over, right? They won the round. Very convincingly. Sees him. Waiting. Very smooth, very clean, right? I think that's something you'll notice. I think when it comes to how he positions his crosshair, how he moves his crosshair, it's very smooth. It doesn't look like overly super flicky or super explosive, right? I think something about slaxejezzz that convinces me that he is kind of like Tenzi is the smoothness of his crosshair. I think Tenzi is definitely smoother than slaxejezzz. I think slaxejezzz is slightly more explosive than Tenzi. Right, but they have a very similar skill set, and the way they use their crosshair is very similar. I don't mind that he's going for underpass peaks because he's aware of the guy. They know that they were playing on extremities, right? So he's aware there's no Astralis stack in underpass, right? He's not going to get mowed down. That's something that people do oftentimes, right? Clean kill. Round's over. Alright, this is an eco bash. I probably should have skipped this forward, but I want to highlight as many mechanical moments as I can, right? As many good moments as I can. Hobbit still playing on MP9. He mollies for Hobbit. He's playing in con close. He's going to smoke early because they smoked underpass or mollied underpass. He's going to HE underpass because they know they want to go fast. But Insani is taking his time, right? He's actually just walking the space. They thought they were going to play fast. I feel like Gila should be commenting that, like, A, they're not playing that fast. Underpass, right? Because he can hear all that. Timing is, like, roughly, like, 133, 135 when the underpass player, I think, can make it. And now he's just watching cats, right? He's watching cats. He's taking first contact. He's aware of the palace, right? Because he doesn't have a smoke, he can't re-smoke palace. So he needs to be a bit careful. They're playing 3 on B. James is there. He's aware of this window lurk. Or window boost, because they do that a lot. MIBR like to boost Insani into window. Here's the flash. Tries ducking. I remember this round. I'm pretty sure he just gets spammed by Insani. Insani just does that. He's very aware that he's there. I don't think that's really on him. Insani sometimes does just have those rounds where he just owns everybody. Like this. Owns first bullet. Owns. Like Insani does just have those rounds, and I'm not expecting slaxejezzz to necessarily just, you know, beat Insani when it comes to those fights. Which is fine, right? So far, nothing I've seen has been rather, like, different, right? Again, playing the position very stock standardly. Looks like he's the one mulling top boxes. Did get mullied. Hold up. Yeah, it was mullied. Where the palace was going to HE under, changed his mind. Just spotting. Hobbit is playing here. They have Jame on A. He's playing in con, right? He's holding window. He's very aware of the boost up. They love getting Insani involved. They're popping on B. Zway is kind of just living. Does a smoke. Probably should have swung, in my opinion. If I'm, like, being really critical. Don't throw your smoke, go swing. Go swing for Zway. Because Zway is isolated. If you smoke this, Zway is completely isolated, right? Like, if you smoke this, this entire section is isolated. Zway, I understand he's probably worried about op van or something. That's probably the logic is, oh, op can be van. I want to swing, or I need to smoke it so I can help or, like, play. But if you do this, Zway is completely cut off. Zway doesn't end up getting the kill either. So, but if he just swung there, Zway can swing off his contact and they can just play together. So a bit of a misplay, in my opinion. Forced to save, they're saving. Again, nothing super impressive, right? They're playing kind of back on sites. It seems like Jame is dictating a lot of the CT sides and how they want to play, which makes sense. That's how I imagined, right? They're just putting slaxejezzz in the most mechanical, one of the more, like, probably the star spot, like the mechanical spots, right? He's holding HE for Jame, I imagine. Yeah, Jame. He's gonna do it again. Nice. You see nothing. He's gonna jump spot. I'm fine if he's jump spotting. Standing up, jump spot. Good molly timing, right? Didn't see him on the 2 jump spots, so he waits. Still just watching. God, man, these demos are really boring. It's just because of how he's being used, right? He is, he's being used as a tool. He smokes pallets, good job. I kind of went a little too fast here. But he sees the XEQ come in. He's aware of this con lurk. He sees Insani, right? Walks through, gets one. Right, because he wants to help Hobbit out. Pretty sure Hobbit has a very good round here. Hobbit the Opper. I love Hobbit, bro. I'm sorry. I'm such a Hobbit glazer. I probably should have made a video decreeing my undying love for Hobbit. Because, like, I think something that's a bit interesting... Sorry, like, this is not about Hobbit at all, this demo review, but... I kind of want to just talk about, like, how I think Hobbit is who people think Rain is, right? Like, Hobbit actually is, I think, a player who could have had more success in his career had he, like, left certain rosters earlier, right? Because I think he is just such an overqualified, like... He's a player who has been a soldier for a lot of the squads he's been a part of, but I think he could have been more had he just left, like, some of these, like, rosters like Hellraisers earlier or Gambit before they were Gambit youngsters, right? I think he definitely had potential to be, on the HLTV top 20 list a few more times in his career, because I think he's an all-time great player. Like, he is actually that good. Historically, he's played a wide variety of roles. Heard the failed jump up, right, from Insani. But yeah, I'm glad Hobbit's back in tier 1. That flash, by the way, is completely useless. Do not throw it. I swear to God, that flash does nothing. He's just gonna save. I'm sorry. This is so boring. I'm sorry. It's so boring. I should have picked a better demo. It's fine. I should have picked one of his tier 2 demos and reviewed it live. It would have been more fun. But I think showing him against better opposition is probably a better idea, right? Does he get proactivity? No, he's going connector. God damn it. Molly underpass. Okay, finally, action. Good spam on the Palace player, right? Aware of the Palace guy. It's 2v2. Pretty sure he kind of gets lucky. This is the round I remember. So he gets domed because he picks up. slaxejezzz is where he has a bit of a gap, right? Bit of a timing. Zwei probably calms these ROPs, right? And he kind of gets lucky with the double spray, right? He manages to hit both. A little lucky, but also just well played, right? To realize he has a gap to take the space, right? They try and double swing him, but because he's ahead of the timing, right, for NQZ and Cobra Zera, right? He lines them both up through the box, and I think that's rather impressive, right, that he's able to do that. Yeah, it's lucky, but it's still, again, you have to be able to capitalize on mistakes. HE to set up Jame again, right? Jame can see the smoke. He's spamming. I think he should run back A insta, because you should be aware they're, on not a force, but spotting. Where's Jame rotating? He's rotating B, G1 ladder. Just imagine he's gonna go play bench or something. Yep, they get smoked off. He's spamming. Flash, he's blind. HE to break. He saw a guy's head. Not spamming. He's flashing to set up his teammates and Hobbit, right? Hobbit is able to get a kill off spam. I think Hobbit just carries this round from what I remember. He's still waiting. He's just waiting because he knows where his teammates are. I think this is something that is good, right? He didn't actually overplay there. Yes, he dies, but he wasn't actually overplaying. They just peeked into him, right? He was playing a rather, like, passive, safe angle. I think that's something I see more from slaxejezzz than Noda or Belchanok is Belchanok and Noda would give up a peek. They don't need to. slaxejezzz knows he's alone and is, like, I'm just going to give them as little opportunity to punish me as possible. They do punish him, but by that point, they're already, like, the CT smoke has faded. They're able to play the round, right? And they get in. They don't have the time to take jungle. So that's well played. Ready for the palace pop. They're holding, double holding. Hobbit's kind of, this is an interesting setup. I don't mind it. They have Jame and window, so they can see this. This is against an eco. This is just an eco bash, but we can show off the mechanics. Great spray, right? Still aware of the underpass player. Was gonna throw an HE, right? Nothing really crazy, right? Against the ecos, doesn't matter. One guy died. Cool. So far, he's done pretty well. Hobbit, I'm pretty sure this... you see more of it on T side, how he's used, right? Again, as for his mechanical skill set, I'm pretty sure he's the B apps or the B apps player on T side, right? The B lurk, whereas Way is the A lurk, and Gilo and Hobbit, I'm pretty sure are middle together. I could be wrong though. Gilo might be the A lurk. I don't actually know. I'm like blanking because like this is still a new team, getting used to like players in their new roles. It takes a while, right? Okay, so we're at Palace. They're dead con. He hears them con. Good smoke con. Flash to set it. I like that he flashes, right? Doesn't just peek blind. He's going for spam because he smoked off. Went for spam, got the kill. Still just spamming, right? Okay, you have one mag, pal. Let's relax. He's waiting for his teammate, and then swings off his teammate, right? Well played. Not bad. What is he doing the last round? So far, again, when it comes to con, he's just been holding his area. Like, that's what I see with him a lot. He is holding his area, he's holding his position. He's responsible, but he's not overly ambitious, he's not overly creative, he's not different with the way he plays his position, right? He treats it as, I'm holding map control, I'm holding map control, I'm holding map control. And that's partially because of Shame, but that's also partially how he plays in general, right? Very stock standard. Very stock standard player, right? I don't see anything super unique or creative. They don't get him active in any special ways, right? It looks like Jame is just, we're going to play sites, and I'm going to call the right stack more times than not, right? Sees the smoke, walks through bench, holding Palace, gets the first kill. Second kill's rough. Not able to really get it. Sonny is like 1 HP, but they weren't able to get the kill. And Zwei is 1v3 with an op, and there's no way he wins it, because you have to clear too much with the op. You don't, even if you have utility, right? Over. I'm sorry, I'm very tired, and this demo is so boring. I'm actually like losing, not brain cells, but I'm losing like energy just watching it. It's so very little to talk about when it comes to how he plays his position, right? Like, again, he's just being used on the extremity, just like holding his position, just holding map control, right? Like, it looks just boring to watch, right? And it's not like he's doing anything wrong, he's playing it right. Waits for the tap plan, gets a kill, good job. Maybe should have activated earlier, some will argue, but he was holding him. I'm glad that he just doesn't die on his side, because if he dies on his side, then the pressure is completely gone. Good pickup, right? Like, oh, good jump. Not giving up a fight. He just full talks, right? They know they have post blind spots. It's not really easy for this person to win. He can just wait. Right? Just waiting. Hears him and just first bolts him. Right? Very good. So, yeah, did his job. Actually, he might be the A lurk now that I think about it, in Gila's middle. Yeah, Way is the B lurk. This is going to be very boring. I can just tell. He's just going to hold map control. Luck, holding map control. Oh my god. He just... I love slaxejezzz demos. I love them. I'm sorry, I'm complaining a lot. I know I'm complaining, but... It's just so, like, nothing. It's such a nothing fucking... I hate when players do this. I hate, like, when I watch Tenzi do this, I get mad too. Like, I'm actually visibly upset when I'm watching Tenzi do this. Because it's so boring. You're just doing nothing. Like, what am I even garnering from this? Congrats, you're holding your map control diligently. But at least when I watch a Sipho demo, at least Sipho's gonna occasionally send it and they get him enabled on the T side. At least I'm like, wow, Sipho, you're so cracked, right? Like, This is just like, oh, it's so fucking tiring, man. Slivo's another CIS prospect I actually need to make a video about. Slivo is so good, and he should. King T, I think, said something like he should replace Zontix on Spirit. I agree. Like, with how much demos I've watched of him since, like, I knew he was on Amiga for a while, and I knew he was talented, and I saw his stats, and I was like, okay, that's absurd. And then I didn't watch demos, and then he made a video about him, and I watched it, and I was like, okay, yeah, he should definitely be on better teams, because I watched, like, more demos since that, and I was like, yeah, he's very good. Like, he's very methodical, super disciplined. Right? When I watch, like, Cypher play, I'm not bored. But when I watch this, I'm bored. Like, I'm just bored. Didn't spot him, tags him, was gonna pull util. They sadly lined up for 2, and they died. Unlucky! Oh my god. I'm editing this out. I actually can't, bro. I can't. Like, with Tenzi, the part I love is that once he gets to the group up, oh my god, it's so much fun to watch, right? And it's same thing with slaxejezzz. When I get to watch the group up, oh my god, I love it, right? Mechanically brilliant. But when I have to watch him hold a palace, I don't want to, like, watch anymore. I don't want to watch. Sit behind smoke, sim. Okay, let's see this double kill. Okay, good pre-aims. Yep. Okay. Wow, great first bullet. Owns that guy as well. Like, I mean, great, right? Once he actually gets to do something, it's fantastic. I'm so excited. But when he doesn't, I'm so bored. And they're saving, right? They just instantly go to save because they don't have money. So they have to save. Very well played by him to, like, he first bullet Insani, like, instantly. Like, Insani stood no chance when he swung upstairs. And then NQZ, good, like, effective long-range spray, right? I think his long-range spray is pretty good. When I've seen his games, right? I haven't watched all of his games, or I haven't watched a lot of his demos, but when I watch his demos, his long-range spray actually seems very competent, which some players have, like, some players are just not known for their long-range spray. Some people tap more when they're at long range. With him, his spray control is very effective at long range, so I think it's something notable that, actually, funny enough, Noda was rather good at as well when he was on AmCal and Rushby and those teams, right? That slaxejezzz has in common with him. Long range spray looks super good and very consistent, right? Tap this guy out. Tap him. Oh, it's so good, the crosshair placement. Oh my god. I mean, the fact, like, again, I don't know if they're taking advantage of nameplate Counter-Strike or they wanted to go B and they just canceled because of what happened in the round, right? But very good for him to get that opener, right? They're going to group up and go B. Okay, awesome. He's playing second guy in. Good molly. Gets kind of timing by Venom's arrow. Hobbit actually plays this round masterfully, so we're going to watch Hobbit from now on. He's still waiting on top mid, Kills Venom's arrow because he thinks there's going to be an underpass, like rotate or lurk or whatever. Then Hobbit just waits. And this is why I rate Hobbit so much, because he's super cerebral player and he has good mechanics, right? Great first bullet because of crosshair placement. Waits until he hears him drop, then he mollies to try and delay him, spams to try and stall him, right? And he's just stalling. He's buying time. He knows they're 2v1 on site, and now he goes for a swing because the round's over, right? Like, they're not going to win. They're not peeking. They're not giving up anything to Insani. Right? Insani's making sound. Doesn't matter. Great kill by Sway. Sway doesn't even need to peek there, but very effective movement by Sway. You saw that tap crouch, slide, right? Just wanted to point it out. That's why I rate Hobbit, right? Super cerebral player, very good mechanics. He might be 32, but he can still frag. For 32 years old, he can frag. You know, he's not necessarily the most flashy player, but he definitely has just very solid mechanics, very good mechanics for his age. So this time, it looks like they're just going for an A execute. First kill is good, right? It's a trade. HE. Because he knows the guy is probably low ramp. Molly to move him out of position. They're going to walk back B this round. I remember this. slaxejezzz basically wins this round by himself. Very good on the trade, right, to get the trade. They run back B. They have time. They're going to contact. He's clearing his angles, like, pretty methodically, right? He's not skipping any of the spots because he has to. jumps out. Doesn't fully jump out. I like this, right? He actually tries to bait out shots when he does this, right? So what he does is he does this, jumps into window, and he tries to spot jail, spots get right, and because he makes sound and swings him, he actually gets the kill because of it, right? Then he's aware of the cat player, just walks into E-box. This is good, being able to hero this. They don't know he's here necessarily. They smoke door. I think that's fine. He's kind of tucked, right? Dodging flashes. Here's the flash, tuck. First kill, doesn't know. James has a second. And right, he wins that round basically by, owning LNZ. LNZ stood zero chance on that. So yeah, that's the reason I like to highlight slaxejezzz. It's mostly mechanical. You're going to hear me complain a lot throughout the demo, and I'm sorry you had to hear me complain, but it is so very boring to watch a player hold map control in the way he does. Like, it's exhausting to watch. It's it's like life-sucking, life-draining to watch that, right? And it's not that he's bad. He's a great player. Like, mechanically, as soon as he gets to the execute, fantastic. But he just has no autonomy in his positions. And I understand. That's why James wanted him. They brought him in for his mechanics, not his autonomy, not his star-like potential, but his mechanical skill set. And it's the same thing I mentioned with Tenzi. Mechanically excellent, still needs more development, right, as a full player. And I think when you're in a James system, that's the role you're going to be given, and you're just going to have to accept it. And it's part of it. It's part of the game. And guess what? They do win. They win because of that. Because he's not getting necessarily overly ambitious. He's not going for pushes. He's playing within the system and the structure that James has, right? And being a tool, right? A tool in terms of his mechanical skill set for James to win rounds. And I think in terms of that, that's fine, right? Because it looks like they give Sway and Hobbit the most amount of freedom, right? In terms of what they do on the T side. What they do on the T side, they give him the most amount of freedom. Gilo has a bit of freedom because of his positions and because, like, the fact that he is playing the star positions. But really, Gilo is also a tool being used as, like, an opener and a playmaker, right? These things. So that's all I want to say. slaxejezzz, good pickup. I rate him extremely highly. I don't think he's going to be necessarily a star. He's going to be used similar to how Tenzi is used on Magic and how Tenzi is probably going to be continuing to be used on Magic. Maybe Tenzi develops, but he is an overqualified role player with his mechanics. He's not necessarily going to be. His demos are not going to be interesting to watch. I'm just going to say that right now. And probably should have picked a Hobbit or something to watch because Hobbit would have been much more interesting to watch in my opinion. But yeah, thank you for watching.